5 crucial foods you must buy now and stockpile before May. Prepare for SHTF 2025. In a world where uncertainty grows louder each day, from economic instability to rising global tensions, one truth remains clear. Preparation is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. With serious warnings of food shortages by mid-2025, what you choose to do now could shape how well you weather the storms ahead. In this episode of The Journey of Wisdom, we'll uncover the 5 essential foods you should secure before May. We'll explain why these specific items matter, how they nourish not only your body but your peace of mind, and simple ways to store them for the months to come. Let's walk this path together, not in fear, but in mindful readiness. Number 1. Rice. Rice is more than just a pantry staple. It's a quiet cornerstone of resilience, a food that has carried civilizations through hardship and helped nourish billions through times of feast and famine alike. When paired with dried beans or lentils, rice forms a complete protein, offering a deeply nourishing and balanced meal, especially important during emergencies when nutrition and simplicity are key. What makes rice truly invaluable is its incredible shelf life. White rice, when sealed correctly in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, can last 20 to 30 years with minimal loss of nutritional value. That kind of longevity makes it one of the smartest foods you can stockpile today. Yet the clock is ticking. Global rice prices have already begun climbing due to extreme weather patterns, shifts in export policies from major producers like India and Thailand, and rising transportation costs across the board. These seemingly distant disruptions ripple across the globe and soon show up right where it matters, at your local store and in your household budget. Delaying your purchase could mean higher prices or even shortages if a crisis accelerates. As the Buddha wisely taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. Taking action now before a potential supply crunch is a grounded and mindful step towards self-reliance and peace of mind. Choosing the right type of rice is essential, and here is where many well-meaning people make mistakes. Brown rice, while healthier due to its fiber and nutrient-rich bran, has a much shorter shelf life, typically just 6 months to a year, because its natural oils make it prone to spoilage. White rice, on the other hand, is more stripped down but vastly more stable over time, making it a reliable investment. Parboiled rice offers a middle path, more nutrition than white rice and longer shelf life than brown. For those preparing to safeguard their families during uncertain times, white rice and parboiled rice are your dependable long-term allies. But rice is more than just a storage food. It's adaptable, comforting, and easy to cook. Whether you're throwing together a simple stir-fry with leftover veggies or stretching a meal into several servings, rice serves as the warm, familiar base. In emergencies, when routines are disrupted and stress is high, having that familiar taste can offer more than just calories. It offers emotional nourishment too. As the Zen proverb reminds us, when walking, walk, when eating, eat. In times of chaos, returning to the basics and truly experiencing them can restore a sense of normalcy and gratitude. Proper storage is where the wisdom of preparation truly shines. Just like beans, rice should be stored in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, ideally tucked away in buckets to protect against pests and moisture. The temperature of your storage space plays a critical role. Every 10 DGF drop in temperature effectively doubles the grain's shelf life. That means if you're storing rice in a hot garage, you may lose years of potential stability. So consider insulating your storage area, moving supplies indoors, or even vacuum sealing smaller portions to open only as needed. This practice prevents exposing your entire batch to moisture and prolongs its usability. These thoughtful, small steps become acts of mindfulness, reflecting not just preparation, but care for the future. As Thich Nhat Hanh once said, the best way to take care of the future is to take care of the present moment. While rice is grown in abundance across Asia, it's also cultivated in states like Arkansas, Louisiana, and California. But don't let that fool you into thinking it's invulnerable to disruption. Even domestic supplies can be affected by global instability. Shipping delays, port congestion, floods, or other climate events can cause shortages or price surges. With the world so deeply interconnected, a drought in Southeast Asia can impact what ends up in your cart at the supermarket. Stockpiling rice now isn't about fear, it's about foresight. Just as a wise farmer prepares his field before the rain, being prepared with staples like rice means you're not caught scrambling in uncertainty. And while you're preparing, it helps to remember the power of variety. Sure, standard white long-grain rice should make up the bulk of your storage, but sprinkling in some jasmine or basmati can lift spirits when meals start to feel repetitive. Even wild or red rice, though pricier, can be kept in small quantities to add richness to your diet. The point isn't extravagance, but sustainability of morale. Avoiding flavor fatigue can make a major difference when relying on your food reserves for days or even weeks. In that way, variety becomes a subtle act of compassion for your future self. Lao Tzu reminds us, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Let this simple step, stocking up on rice, be part of a greater journey toward wisdom, peace, and preparedness. Number 2. Dried beans and lentils. Let's talk about one of the smartest, most underrated moves you can make right now, stocking up on dried beans and lentils. You might be thinking, really? Beans? But hear me out. These little powerhouses are more than just a backup food. They're rich in protein, fiber, iron, and other essential minerals your body needs, especially in times of crisis. And let's be real. When prices are rising and the weather gets unpredictable, having affordable, shelf-stable nutrition at your fingertips isn't just smart, it's peace of mind. Dried beans and lentils don't just sit on the shelf quietly. They become your lifeline when the supply chain starts to wobble. With extreme weather events on the rise and inflation putting pressure on basic goods, it's becoming clear that now, not later, is the time to prepare. You're not just buying food, you're buying time, flexibility, and a sense of groundedness in a shaky world. Here's something you might not have thought about. These legumes are grown all over, from the farms of India and the US to the fields of South America and Canada. That wide range means they're generally available, but it also means that a drought in one region or a heat wave in another can ripple across the supply chain, causing sudden price jumps or even shortages. And when transportation costs go up or geopolitical tensions rise, simple things like lentils become harder to get. That's why smart prepping isn't about panic. It's about being thoughtful, intentional, and prepared with items that nourish you deeply and store well. Lentils cook fast, 20 to 30 minutes without soaking, and that matters more than you think. In a crisis, every drop of fuel and water counts. Lentils save both. Now, picture this. You've got a container of beans sealed up in your pantry, and you know how to turn it into a hearty, flavorful meal. You've added cumin, maybe some garlic, a dash of chili powder. Suddenly it's not just survival food, it's comfort food. A hot meal that reminds you of stability. This is where the Buddhist teaching of mindful preparation comes in. There's an old Zen story of a monk who, even during a famine, continued to cook and eat with the same attention and gratitude he showed during times of abundance. His secret wasn't in the food, it was in the awareness that each meal was sacred, each moment an opportunity to live wisely and with compassion. Are we approaching our preparations in this way? Are we making decisions out of fear, or are we moving from a place of mindfulness and responsibility? Storing dried legumes is easy. Airtight containers, food-grade buckets, mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, whatever your budget allows. The key is to keep out air, light, and moisture. Even something simple, a sealed container in a dark cabinet, can keep beans good for 8 years or more. Lentils typically last up to 5 years, but with good storage, they often last longer. And don't forget to rotate your supply. Use the older stock first, keep the new stuff labeled and organized, and make beans and lentils part of your everyday meals. This way, you're not only stocked, you're skilled. You've built a rhythm around this food, and that rhythm brings resilience. And here's a gentle reminder. Don't neglect the spices. What's survival without joy? A little flavor can change your mindset, uplift your spirit, and make a tough time feel a bit more like home. So why not add a small bag of your favorite spices to your stockpile? Food is not just fuel, it's connection, tradition, and even healing. So let me ask you, are you preparing out of panic or out of peace? Are you rushing to hoard, or are you building a pantry that reflects wisdom and care for your family and others? When we prepare with awareness, with kindness, and with an eye toward the long-term good, we become more than survivors. We become steady beacons for those around us. The lesson is this. Don't wait for the storm to come to start thinking about shelter. Dried beans and lentils aren't just shelf items. They're symbols of your foresight, your practicality, and your quiet strength. Preparing your pantry isn't just about food. It's a reflection of how you prepare your heart and mind for what life may bring. Start today and do it with care. Number 3. Freeze-dried fruits and vegetables. All right, friend, let's take a moment together and talk about something quietly powerful. Freeze-dried fruits and vegetables. One of the most overlooked but absolutely essential pieces in your emergency food prep, especially as we head deeper into uncertain times like 2025. Now, I know when people think of preparing for hard times, what some call SHTF scenarios, they often focus first on the big-ticket items: rice, beans, canned meat, maybe even water filters and generators. And while all of that is important, we often forget that true health and resilience, both physically and emotionally, require balance. Just like in life, survival isn't just about the basics, it's about nourishment. Buddha once said, "To keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise we shall not be able to keep our mind strong and clear." So today I want to speak directly to you, not just as a prepper, but as a mindful person trying to create a life of security and peace for yourself and those you love. So, why are freeze-dried fruits and vegetables something you must stock up on now, before May? Let's look at this practically. Fresh produce, as you know, is one of the first things to vanish during any crisis, whether it's panic buying, trucker strikes, or natural disasters. It spoils quickly, requires refrigeration, and is difficult to transport. But freeze-dried produce? It flips the script completely. Through a special process that removes moisture while preserving taste, texture, and up to 95% of the nutrients, freeze-dried foods become long-lasting, lightweight, and shelf-stable, often good for 30 years or more when properly stored. Imagine biting into a crisp slice of freeze-dried apple, or mixing freeze-dried broccoli into a hot stew when the world outside is uncertain. It's not just survival food, it's a reminder of normalcy, of comfort, of emotional resilience. Think about this. What's your energy going to be like in a high-stress situation if all you're eating is starch and protein? Your body will start missing those essential vitamins and minerals, especially vitamin C, potassium, fiber, and antioxidants. And when your body is lacking, your mind suffers too. Nutrition impacts everything: focus, sleep, mood, even your immune system. In a crisis, that's not just inconvenient, it can be dangerous. So here's a question I invite you to reflect on. Are you preparing for survival, or are you preparing for life? Because if it's the latter, then variety and nourishment are part of your strategy. There's a wide world of freeze-dried options out there, from strawberries, bananas, and blueberries to corn, peas, spinach, and yes, even cauliflower. You can eat them straight out of the pouch as snacks, rehydrate them for cooking, or blend them into smoothies for a quick nutrition boost. And the beauty is in their simplicity. They're lightweight, easy to store, and incredibly versatile. In a bug-out situation, every ounce matters. So having nutrient-dense, low-weight options like these can make a real difference. But as with all things, quality matters. Not all freeze-dried foods are created equal. Look for reputable brands that package their goods in airtight containers, such as No. 10 cans or Mylar pouches, ideally with oxygen absorbers included. Store them in a cool, dark place, like a basement or a pantry away from heat sources, and always inspect the packaging. Dinted cans or punctured pouches are a sign to toss them. Once opened, they need to be resealed properly or consumed relatively quickly. Think of it like tending to a garden. Care now brings health later. Some people ask, isn't freeze-dried food expensive? And yes, at first glance, it can seem pricey. But consider this. Is there any better investment than your health, your family's resilience, and your peace of mind? A single No. 10 can of freeze-dried broccoli could provide enough nutrients to support your immune system and digestion for an entire week during a crisis. And unlike fresh produce, it won't rot on your kitchen counter. It won't be affected by supply chain breakdowns or global instability. So let me leave you with this thought. What would it mean for your future self, a few months or a year from now, to have taken action today? How would it feel to know you prepared not just for survival, but for thriving, even in the face of adversity? That's the real power of mindful preparation. You're not just stockpiling calories, you're building security, wellness, and a kind of quiet strength that will support you when things get tough. Think about that. And now ask yourself, are you ready to nourish not just your body, but your spirit too? If you've made it this far, you're clearly serious about being prepared for whatever 2025 may bring. Comment below with "Ready for 2025" to show your commitment to staying ahead and protecting your loved ones. Don't go anywhere, there's still critical information in this video that could make all the difference when it counts. Stay with us till the end to discover the top 5 foods you must stockpile before May. Number 4. Shelf-stable dairy and alternatives. When we talk about preparing wisely for uncertain times, one area that often gets overlooked but quickly becomes essential is having a reliable source of dairy or its alternatives. For many people, milk is more than just a beverage. It's a staple in everyday routines, whether it's used for coffee, baking, or simply as a key source of calcium and essential nutrients. In a crisis scenario where supply chains are disrupted and grocery store shelves run bare, fresh milk may become one of the first things to disappear. That's why having shelf-stable dairy options or plant-based alternatives is not only practical, it's vital. Powdered milk stands out as one of the most dependable choices here. It's lightweight, easy to store, and when kept in a cool, dark space in proper packaging, like mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, it can last anywhere from 5 to even 10 years. For those looking to prioritize long-term storage, non-fat powdered milk is the go-to due to its extended shelf life, while whole milk powder, although richer in flavor, tends to spoil faster because of the fat content. Still, both can be lifesavers when the fridge is no longer an option. For anyone who's lactose intolerant or prefers plant-based alternatives, options like almond, soy, or oat milk are worth stocking up on. These shelf-stable drinks usually come in Tetra Pak cartons and don't need refrigeration until opened, making them incredibly convenient during power outages or emergencies. Though they don't last as long as powdered milk, their simplicity is a real advantage. You just pop open the carton and pour. However, keep in mind that once opened, these need to be consumed quickly or kept cold, which may be challenging without electricity. So, if you rely on plant-based milk, consider rotating your stock and making sure you have a backup way to chill opened containers, like an ice chest or a solar-powered cooler. This small step can make a huge difference in comfort and nutrition when things get tough. Cheese lovers need not despair either. While the average grocery store cheese isn't built for long-term storage, there are still solid options. Freeze-dried cheese and dehydrated cheese powders may not give you that gooey melt, but they work well in recipes and offer familiar flavors when fresh food is scarce. These can be added to soups, sauces, and casseroles to create nourishing, hearty meals that feel like home, even in hard times. If you've ever tried to store fresh cheese long-term, you know how quickly it can go bad without the right conditions. That's why many experienced preppers either invest in freeze-dried cheese from trusted suppliers or learn how to do it at home, though this requires a freeze dryer which isn't in everyone's budget. Still, understanding your options now helps you make smarter choices before panic buying sets in. It's also important to acknowledge that items like yogurt or other fermented dairy products won't be easy to keep on hand unless you have ongoing access to fresh milk and a way to control temperature. That's why many people decide to focus more on shelf-stable solutions and supplement any potential nutritional gaps with vitamins. Especially as we age, nutrients like calcium and vitamin D3 become even more critical for maintaining bone health and energy levels. Stocking up on supplements is a smart way to ensure your body stays strong, even if fresh dairy becomes a luxury rather than a given. Nutritionists often emphasize how deficiencies in key minerals can lead to bigger health problems during prolonged stress or hardship, which is the last thing anyone wants to deal with when the world outside is already chaotic. When we look at global supply chains and the recent disruptions we've all witnessed, be it due to fuel cost, natural disasters, or geopolitical issues, it's clear that dairy is one of the more vulnerable categories. Unlike dry goods, milk and cheese rely heavily on refrigeration, timely transport, and consistent production. When any one part of that system falters, the impact is felt quickly at the checkout line. Prices can soar with little warning, especially for dairy, which involves more energy-intensive processing and shipping. So, thinking ahead and purchasing these shelf-stable items while they're still affordable isn't just about survival, it's about peace of mind and financial wisdom. For those aged 30 to 65, this is also about protecting your family and health in a world where unpredictability is becoming the norm. Even if you're not a huge fan of milk or cheese, having these on hand can serve multiple purposes. Not only can they round out your diet, they also become valuable barter items. Many people underestimate just how comforting a cup of warm milk or a cheesy casserole can be in stressful situations. Small comforts go a long way in boosting morale. And let's face it, some folks simply can't start their day without a little milk in their coffee or tea. In moments of uncertainty, the familiar can be deeply grounding. So whether you're prepping for power outages, economic instability, or simply trying to stay ahead of inflation, having shelf-stable dairy and thoughtful alternatives on hand is one of the smartest, most compassionate decisions you can make for yourself and your loved ones. Number 5. Canned proteins. Let's talk about something essential and often overlooked: canned proteins. Your secret weapon in smart prepping. If you've been paying attention to trusted prepping voices lately, you've probably heard this loud and clear: protein is a top priority, and rightfully so. Dried beans and lentils are solid staples, but they still need time, water, and heat to prepare. What happens if the power goes out for a week, or fuel becomes scarce and precious? This is where canned proteins become more than just handy, they become crucial. Think tuna, salmon, chicken, sardines, mackerel, even canned ham. These aren't just filler foods, they're compact, nutrient-dense powerhouses that can sustain energy, boost your immune system, and bring real comfort during uncertain times. And let's be honest, comfort matters too when the world feels uncertain. The ripple effects of inflation and supply chain disruptions are already in motion. In fact, experts forecasting economic and environmental trends for 2025 warn that we might see serious volatility in the availability of canned meats. Fisheries are under pressure from climate change, overfishing, and shifting regulation. So while you might see canned tuna on every shelf now, there's no guarantee it'll stay that way. On top of that, poultry producers are still grappling with sporadic avian flu outbreaks, events that wipe out entire flocks and spike prices practically overnight. So ask yourself, what would it mean for you and your family if those essential proteins became hard to find or doubled in price just a few months from now? The good news is, canned proteins are one of the easiest food items to store. Most have shelf lives of 2 to 5 years, sometimes more if stored correctly. And even though the best buy dates printed on the can are conservative, many experienced preppers report safely using canned goods well past those dates, provided the cans are not rusted, dented, or bulging. Still, it's a good practice to inspect your stock regularly and rotate items so that nothing goes to waste. Think of it like tending a garden. It's not just about what you harvest, but how you care for it over time. And here's a practical tip. Don't just stash your canned proteins in a dark corner and forget about them. Use them, fold them into your daily meals, toss canned salmon into a salad, stir canned chicken into a quick soup, mash sardines with mustard and herbs for a simple spread. Not only does this help keep your stock fresh and moving, but it also gets you and your loved ones used to eating these foods. That familiarity matters more than you might think in a crisis. Plus, many of these canned fish options contain omega-3 fatty acids, which support heart health and strengthen the immune system. Vital benefits when fresh food becomes scarce. Storage is simple too. A cool, dry, and dark location, like a basement or closet, is ideal. Avoid placing cans near stoves or windows where sunlight and heat can shorten shelf life. If you're stacking them, be gentle and stable in your arrangement to prevent dents. And if you want to stay really organized, consider investing in a can rotation rack that automatically rolls the oldest can forward when you add a new one. It's a small step, but it keeps your food supply fresh and your mind at ease. So now, I want you to think about this. Are you preparing for what's coming, or are you just hoping things won't get worse? When you take small, steady actions like stocking up on canned proteins now, you're not reacting out of fear, you're responding with wisdom. You're creating a cushion for yourself and those you love, something that speaks of foresight and care, not panic. Prepping isn't about hoarding, it's about protecting well-being and giving yourself choices when circumstances tighten. It's a quiet kind of empowerment. Here's the key takeaway. Canned proteins aren't just food, they're peace of mind. They offer stability in the storm, fuel when you need it most, and simplicity when everything else feels overwhelming. So as we move closer to uncertain times, consider this a step toward resilience. What choices can you make today that your future self will be grateful for? Keep learning, keep preparing, and remember, every mindful action you take today is a step toward a more secure tomorrow. Number 6. Bonus tips for prepping success. As we step into uncertain terrain, preparing wisely becomes more than just a survival tactic. It becomes a reflection of care for ourselves and those we love. Beyond the 5 crucial food staples, dried beans and lentils, rice, canned proteins, shelf-stable dairy or alternatives, and freeze-dried fruits and vegetables, there are bonus strategies that bring the whole plan together. These aren't just about calories or convenience, they're about sustaining body, mind, and spirit during times when stability feels distant. Stockpiling doesn't mean acting out of fear, it means hoping for the best, but calmly planning for the worst, just as farmers plant seeds before the storm clouds gather. Across countless forums, real-life stories from people who've faced hurricanes, fires, and layoffs confirm one truth. Those with a balanced pantry not only endured, but did so with less stress, better health, and more clarity. Think of it like preparing a sacred space. When you thoughtfully combine protein, healthy fats, carbohydrates, and micronutrients, you're creating a form of nourishment that uplifts your resilience. A simple mix of rice and beans is a strong start, but adding shelf-stable dairy and freeze-dried produce creates a much deeper layer of wellness. As the Buddha once said, "Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship." This wisdom reminds us that the purpose of prepping isn't merely physical survival, but emotional and spiritual steadiness during upheaval. Strengthening your preparedness goes beyond just food. It means educating yourself on how to cook without electricity, conserving fuel, and filtering water safely. All skills that build true independence. As we've all seen from recent global events, from pandemics to political tension to natural disasters, our modern systems are delicate. Empty shelves and sudden shortages have taught even the most skeptical people that our routines can be disrupted overnight. Getting ahead of this reality By thoughtfully gathering essentials, not only gives you a practical edge, but also saves you from the reactive panic that so often takes hold during a crisis. Experts suggest 2025 could bring more economic strain and weather unpredictability, so taking small, consistent steps now may save you more than just money. It could preserve your peace of mind. In the Dhammapada, we are reminded, a disciplined mind brings happiness. So with each bag of rice or can of beans you buy, you are in essence practicing mindful discipline, quietly preparing with wisdom instead of worry. The mental strength that comes from preparation is just as vital as the physical. When you know your pantry is in order, there's a quiet confidence that settles in. You are less dependent on outside systems and more able to lend a hand if someone else is in need. A full cupboard isn't about hoarding. It's about building stability so you can be part of the solution when things get tough. Still, a word of caution. Share your preparedness plans only with people you deeply trust. In moments of desperation, even good relationships can fray, so it's wise to protect your efforts discreetly. It's fine to talk about general strategies with those close to you, especially if you're encouraging them to take similar steps, but avoid sharing specific numbers or locations. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, smile, breathe, and go slowly. In other words, move with calm, clarity, and compassion, but keep your awareness sharp. In addition to your main food categories, think about complementary items that are often overlooked. Salt, sugar, honey, cooking oils, and spices. They may not seem critical at first, but these humble ingredients elevate morale, flavor, and even food preservation. Salt, for instance, is not just a seasoning, it's an ancient method of preserving meat and fish. Honey, which never spoils, can soothe throats, sweeten tea, and even serve medicinal purposes. Cooking oils do require care. Choose stable ones like coconut or refined olive oil that can withstand storage time better. These additions may seem small, but they can bring a sense of normalcy and even joy when the world feels unpredictable. And if space is a concern, remember, creativity is your ally. Slide canned goods under the bed, place buckets in closets, or tuck boxes behind furniture. Inventory tracking, whether through a notebook or spreadsheet, keeps you organized and aware, helping you rotate and refresh as needed so nothing goes to waste. The sensationalism around SHTF, stuff hits the fan scenarios, can sometimes make preparedness seem extreme. But truthfully, disruptions don't always look like apocalypse. They can be as ordinary as a snowstorm or an unexpected job loss. In these moments, your pantry becomes a lifeline, a cushion between stress and serenity. 2025 is shaping up to be a complex year. Rising prices, labor challenges, climate disruptions, and even possible geopolitical tensions. A well-rounded pantry acts as both shield and sanctuary. Whether it's 3 months or a full year's supply, aim for what fits your life, your family's dietary needs, and your budget. If beans don't suit your taste or cook time is a factor, consider lentils or split peas. If rice feels too monotonous, rotate in pasta or quinoa. Pick proteins you'll actually enjoy, be it tuna, chicken, or corned beef. Shelf-stable milk might seem dull, but it's priceless when you want to make a cup of coffee or bake for comfort. Freeze-dried fruits bring color and nutrients that keep meals feeling wholesome. When you zoom out and reflect on the big picture, one truth becomes clear: variety supports vitality. A pantry with only 1 or 2 items might get you through, but it won't sustain your energy or morale. Many who endured tough times credit their success to well-balanced storage, not an abundance of one thing, but a thoughtful spread of essentials. Store your supplies in a cool, dry place and use strong containers to keep pests at bay. Check your stash regularly, fix any damaged packaging quickly, and keep everything labeled. Consistency is key. Build your supply steadily, not all at once. Rotate, restock, and stay aware of dates. That way, your supply is always fresh and you avoid waste or surprises. As the saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. This wisdom is timeless, and in the context of food prepping, it's more relevant than ever. In today's world, where even major retailers hint at future shortages and small businesses grapple with unstable supply chains, being prepared is no longer niche or paranoid. It's practical. People from all backgrounds are beginning to see that it's not fear driving the movement, but foresight. The difference between a household in panic and one at peace often lies in the contents of the pantry. So take the time now, while the shelves are still stocked and the prices haven't soared too far. Focus on the essential 5 categories, then expand mindfully with complementary items. And right now, the present moment offers you a rare opportunity to act calmly, to prepare wisely, and to protect your future with quiet strength. As we've explored today, preparing isn't about panic, it's about peace. It's about taking wise, compassionate steps now so that your future self and your loved ones have stability no matter what lies ahead. These 5 essential food categories and the bonus tips are more than just supplies. They're a reflection of mindfulness, care, and resilience. Remember, every small action you take today is a seed planted for tomorrow's well-being. Let your pantry become a quiet act of preparation, not only for your body, but for your spirit. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Each one is crafted to support you with practical insight and mindful living in uncertain times. Until next time, take care, stay grounded, and walk your path with clarity and compassion.